I am not an angry person. Do you know how many times I heard that particular statement from from my clients? Loads. The suppression of anger in today's society is on a grand scale. I had been found guilty of that myself. So I want to give you a practical guide to how to really work with your anger, because there's one thing. There's a science, okay? There's a neuroscientist, Jack Panksepp, who discovered that we have 7 emotional systems that we are sharing with other mammals in our brain. And guess what? Anger is one of these systems. One of the 7th is anger. So obviously Mother Nature put anger into our brains millions of years ago. Obviously, should you suppress it, or should you use it in a healthy, constructive way so you can heal, you can progress in your life, you can use that anger in a way that it helps you to build something rather than destruct? Because anger, when it is used wisely, can be a propeller for your growth or for whatever it is that you want to attain in this life. So first of all, when it comes to that practical guide, that's kind of the thing that I wanted to say to you, that it's not about being an angry person or not. This is completely almost like irrelevant, because the way we look at anger is we look at anger from the lens of aggression. Anger is not aggression. Aggression is an expression of anger when it is unhealthy. Violence is an expression of anger when it is unhealthy. But anger, we do need it because we need boundaries with other people. When we don't have boundaries, people can invade us, quote unquote, of course. And that's why we need them. We need them as human beings so we can, differentiate between what is right for us, what is wrong for us, what people are beneficial for us, what people are not beneficial for us, etc., etc. So the boundaries, if people are telling me like, I'm not an angry person, this is a complete misconstruction of the whole idea behind anger and why you have anger as an emotional system in your brain, okay? So this is one thing that I wanted to clear up. The first step in the work, a practical guide towards working with anger, is actually your relationship with your own private anger, okay? So think about your anger. You can visualize it as whatever it is, but you don't have to. Just think about, okay, what is my current relationship to anger? Do I suppress it? Do I escape it? Do I avoid it? Am I scared of it? Oh, this is so common. People are so scared of their anger. 100%. Why? Because a lot of the people who had been, let's say, abused or traumatized, that had been abused and traumatized by very angry people who had been using anger in a very unhealthy way. And here we are, on the receiving end is a child or adolescent, or, whoever is the victim of that unhealthy expression of anger. So what is your relationship to anger? Be very honest. Be very honest with yourself, because, so when you think of anger, what is like immediate bodily response? How does your body relate to that heat of anger? Are you scared? Are you like contracting? Do you want to like escape? Do you want to distract? What is it? As you can see, those emotional states that relate to your relationship with anger, they lead to actions. Of course they would. So if you want to, let's say, suppress your anger, let's say you might suppress it through drinking more wine, or maybe, doing some other actions that are not about anger at all and not about actually a healthy expression of it, like, for example, setting a boundary with yourself or with other people, but rather escapism. You know what I'm talking about. Yes, you do. So bodily sensation, but also the actions that you're taking, but also I want you to think about the thoughts that you are having about the anger. Maybe you are even angry that I am like now talking about it and telling you that anger is actually a healthy, it can be a healthy expression of something. And you're just like, yeah, but my dad or but my mom, yeah, they had unhealthy expressions of anger. You can be different. You don't have to escape it. You don't have to avoid it. You can use it for your benefit. So, yeah. So how do you hold your anger? can you hold the heat of anger without impulsive reaction? And impulsive reaction does not, it's for a lot of you guys who had been abused and traumatized, is not violence. It's the opposite. It's actually withdrawal. It's actually freeze. Because if you experienced violence in the past, the majority of the people that I had been working with, they do everything not to hurt another human being. And this is what you are. But unfortunately, if you're taking actions from that place, when you are constantly avoiding anger because you're scared that you're going to be like your parents or, whoever it is that abused you, that's not a healthy expression of anger. This is a suppression of anger. So be very honest with yourself. So this whole inventory and writing it down and journaling about it, it's basically like being very clear, like head on, what is, what's your actual relationship with your anger? Now, the next step is for you to think about, okay, what is the last situation, that I ended up like being really angry? And what happens a lot, and this is another like a client profile that I want you to become aware of, because what happens a lot and I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but that was also me. So I'm almost like laughing at myself in a way as well, that people who suppress anger, a lot of the times, they suppress it so much that it will, at some point, they will have an outburst of anger in a completely inadequate situation. Yeah. Do you recognize yourself in that? I bet you do. That it's almost like the context is like completely neutral, but suddenly you just accumulated so much anger and you explode to a completely innocent person. And then what happens? You feel guilty and then you think anger is bad and the cycle repeats. I've been there, guys. That's why I know it so well. I saw that in my client work, and unfortunately, this is the loop that you are in. You got to get yourself out of it, and that's why you have me telling you about it, so you don't have to. We don't have to make the same mistakes again and again. We can get out. We can outgrow them. So, first of all, I want you to become like aware of that particular loop. So I just gave you like a profiles, because that profile was so common, is so common in the client work that I'm doing. And like I said, I noticed that within myself. And therefore, I want you to think about, okay, what is your loop? Like, what is actually happening? So think about the last situation that you really had like maybe an outburst of anger, or you felt angry and you just expressed it in a maybe unreasonable way, or maybe like slightly exaggerated way. And then think about, okay, what are the actual situations in my life that maybe I feel a little bit of frustration or irritation? Write it down. So as you can see, there's a long inventory, because that frustration and irritation, they are already like a little glimpses of anger, which means that these are the opportunities for you to draw a line on the sand, to actually place a boundary between you and another, okay? And yes, the third step will involve you taking a little bit more adequate action. So for example, you might have to take a little bit of a step back, maybe from some people in your life, a little bit of a step back from some situations or circumstances in your life, just to create space so you can feel like, okay, I can have that space to breathe now, so I can look at my anger more objectively. Once you're going to start taking that action that is actually adequate and that is actually reasonable and a healthy expression of anger, you will notice naturally that anger will start dropping. But I want you to also think about anger in a completely different way. Anger is almost like the flip side of anger is passion. So you can use that passionate heat like towards building something, okay? So you can build something using the anger, that energy behind anger, and almost like direct it into something completely different, into something that would be beneficial for you, that would be useful for you, for your future, or whatever it is that you're building. So when you start almost like accumulating that passion anger, almost like the passion is like, yes, I really want to change that. Use it. And I used that before when I was almost like, there was a lot of times when I taught my body and my clients, they learned almost like how to feel the anger and almost like just feel it's like, oh my God, this is such a raw energy. And you're not attaching any meaning to it. And you're just like, that's very freeing. Once that energy actually completes its loop and loses its intensity, you're going to wake up the following day and suddenly you're going to have like outbursts of creativity. That happened to me so many times when I just allow my anger to almost like run its course without any inner dialogue, without like, shouting at myself or at other people or whatever. And it's like, and then the following day, you just feel like, oh my gosh, this feels like, so good. It's like, and you will notice that transformation through feeling the anger rather than responding to it straight away or suppressing it or, whatever it is that you're doing is going to lead to a very different outcomes in your life. And when I say that, I really mean specifically, I experience so much of that and my clients experience so much of that this is like, almost like you would just think like it's magic. It's not magic, guys. It's you working with your emotions in a correct way, in a neuroscience supported way, so it actually gives you benefit. So try this method, and if you need help with your particular anger, you have like some maybe things that you would like to bring in onto like a session with me, you want more precision, you want more like a feedback, then bring it forward, book a session with me. You've got the links down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'm gonna see you in my next video. Bye bye.